Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today we're going to be talking about Rameau keyboard works, because we've been talking about Rameau. We did the big box of Rameau operas. Rameau was the greatest composer of the French Baroque. Hands down, nobody was even close. He wrote operas, he wrote keyboard works, he wrote some other things, not a lot, some motets and whatnot. Really an extraordinary theorist, one of the first composers to really understand how to orchestrate. I mean, really orchestrate really well and use orchestral color and rhythm. And I mean, his harmony textbook is still standard reading. The guy was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The wonderful thing about his keyboard works is that there are not a lot of them. You know, so many of these Baroque composers, they wrote so much stuff. And so you can dip your toe in, but it's very hard, unless you're going to make a lifetime project of it, to take it all in. And it takes a tremendous amount of time. But Rameau's complete keyboard works fit on 2 discs. And they sound, it's amazing. They're like Scarlatti in the sense that you can play them just as beautifully on the piano as you would on the harpsichord. They sound marvelous either way. And they are joyful, fabulously interesting works. And I have 2 sets of them. I have one on the piano and one on the harpsichord, so that you can sort of get both. And the one on the piano is a historical recording. It features the great French pianist Marcelle Meyer. And this was her repertoire. She owned this stuff, essentially, in the first half of the 20th century. She was an amazing pianist, by any definition. She's universally revered and admired. And her Rameau was really special because in those days, I mean, who was playing Rameau? And she did the complete Rameau keyboard works, here they are, plus some, and recorded them in 1953. Now, the sonics are a little bit scruffy, a little bit boxy, I think, and slightly worn, but not so that you can't enjoy what you've heard. And I include this set particularly because this was how I discovered this music, and it's why it's one of my faves. I heard it on the radio. I didn't know what it was, and I thought, wow, this is really great. What is this stuff? And they said, oh, it's Rameau. I was like, who? Because I was a kid, I didn't know that stuff. Marcel Meyer, I said, who? What? What is it? So then I went burrowing around looking for what it is. Well, Rameau's harpsichord music, his keyboard music, was published in 3 groups in about 1706 or 1704, something like that was the first set. And then later in the 1720s, 1724 and 1729, somewhere in there. And each group was just a group of pieces, possibly arranged in a couple suites. Now, French keyboard music in this period consisted of if you saw my beginner's talk on, for example, Baroque orchestral music, it came in 2 varieties, concertos and suites. Well, the keyboard stuff came in suites, and those suites were suites of dances primarily, and that's what the first suite is. It's just the usual, well, let's look at them here. It was the usual, there we go, prelude. You get a prelude, and you get the allemande, and a courante, and a gigue, which is a jig, and a sarabande, and a gavotte, and a minuet. All of these lovely little dance things that the aristocracy was tippy-toeing around with. I mean, they were refined instrumental versions of those types of dances. And that's what you get in the first suite. There is one that is not one of the normal dances. It's called Venetienne, something Venetian. And it's a Venetienne. So there you go. You got a little sign of what's to come. Because later, in the second bunch of suites, he starts adding what they call character pieces, programmatic pieces that describe something that are not strictly dances. So in the second batch, you've got an allemande, a courante, a gigue, and then you get something called le rappel des oiseaux, which is like the bird conference or something like that. That's what it means. And it's just quite wonderful. I mean, the bird song imitations, and it's a totally totally free fantasy kind of work. And those start to pop in. Then you get a couple of rigodons, which are nice and jolly, and a musette, and a tambourin. That was tambourine. It was a really rhythmic, kind of folk-like kind of thing. And then you get la villageoise. Yeah, the village, the lady villager, la villageoise. And who she was and what she did, well, you guess for yourself. Then there's another suite. They're arranged by key. There's a suite in E minor. It's arranged around the key of E minor. The other one is in D minor. And you get les tendres plaintes, the tender complaints, the tender lament. And then you have les naïs de Sologne, which is supposed to be a person who is, well, I suppose if it were in Yiddish, you might call it sort of a schlemiel. Somebody who things don't go right, but they usually don't go right in his favor. That sort of thing. It's the lucky bumbler, I think, is maybe the best way to do it. And then you have les soupirs, sighs. And you have la joyeuse, the happy person. And la follette, the slightly crazy lady, after the slightly happy lady. She's a crazy lady. And l'entretien des muses, the conference or conversation amongst the muses. Les tourbillons, winds, stormy winds. Yeah, wind thing. And les cyclops. Yeah, the people who are making thunderbolts for Zeus. They were his thunderbolt manufacturers, apparently. And then you get le lardon and la boiteuse. You get a drink and you get pork. Lardon is bacon. You get bacon. Yeah, bacon. Then the last pile, the Nouvelle suites, are the same thing. You get an allemande, a courant, a sarabande, the three hands, which is a piece where it creates the illusion of three hands playing on the keyboard. Farfarinette, which means a little braggart, a mini braggart. And le triomphant, which is triumphant, and a gavotte. And then in the last suite, you get les tricolets, and l'indifférent, who cares, right? And let's see, la poule, oh, the hen. Yes, a hen, it's a chicken running around. And les sauvages, savages. He reused some of these pieces in his operas, by the way. He orchestrated them. And there's a long harmonique, which is all about strange harmonic relationships. See, some of these now are becoming not just character pieces about other things, but also about music itself. Technical things, sometimes harmonic things, theoretical things, which is very interesting. And finally, l'Egyptienne. And the Egyptienne is not the Egyptian. It means a gypsy girl, basically. And that's it. So you have Marcel Meyer, I'm talking about Marcel Meyer, and the one I was looking at, which is this fabulous set on Hyperion with Mahan Esfahani on the harpsichord, because you should hear them both ways. You really should. I have no choice between the two. Some people feel terribly strongly that you play it only on the harpsichord or you play it only on the piano, and never the twain shall meet. They should meet. They really should, because it just reveals different characteristics of the music in different ways. The technique is so different, but the music is absolutely eternal. It's like Bach's music. It works fabulously no matter what you play it on, because the music is just what it is. It's so rich in basic fundamental musical facts that it's going to sound great either way. And so my favorite for the Rameau keyboard works is Marcel Meyer on the piano. And if you want stereo, you can go for Angela Hewitt, who's very, very good, also on Hyperion, and Mahan Esfahani on the harpsichord. Stunning, marvelous keyboard music that everybody should know and savor. It's just genius music, absolutely, start to finish. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.